I made a little slideshow and a couple things to talk about, but the idea of turning points in storytelling was a bit compelling, and it was a fun trip down memory lane pulling this presentation together. So I'm starting with a little bit of the history, how I got there, and I'm ending with where we're at right now and where things are at. So a couple of turning points along the way for me. So four specifically, four that I want to talk about. So the first turning point really was when I made fun work. And that's kind of a pun, but that was something that I think I have in common with everyone in this room. So somewhere along the line, we turned this passion of play and snow into something we do for work, and it involves a huge number of aspects and things that we do. But 2 seasons of epic snowfalls at Mount Baker, 98, 99, and 99, 2000 were just huge years, and I was fresh out of school, and it was the ultimate ski bum experience, and it set the tone. I wanted to play in the mountains for the rest of my life. A couple of cool opportunities that came out of that. Working for the Mount Baker's Mountain Education Center, which is a informal, just a in-house education program we started at the ski area as a result of those avalanches, and getting to work on the avalanche control team and learn the trade. And so 2 things sort of shaped me over the next decade in that sense. A couple of photos that I dug up. This is an archive. Anybody here been to Mount Baker ski area? Gone up Chair 8? And have you ever mind surfed that whole peak off to the left? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This was from the first time we ever did avalanche control on that slope. This was the first time we ever accidentally, intentionally triggered that slope. So we hired a helicopter, and we threw one 50-pound bag of anvil in that slope, and we got this. This was the second year after a similar avalanche that happened, took out 3 people on that slope, and so this was formative for me. This piqued my interest and got me started on this, and I took my education degree and my recreation degree, and I got into avalanche education. I stood in front of the snow pit and talked about everything I knew and did my best to download everything I could to every student that came before me. Anybody here ever try to do that? I used to give a written test at the end of my courses, and the pass rate was abysmal. I was like, either I suck as an instructor or I'm using the wrong techniques. And it was a little bit of both. And so the next turning point really came from that realization that I wanted to grow as an instructor. And that really started with a couple of NSAW presentations, some things that people said to me and showed me. So my world was expanding. And so change in scale really was the second turning point. I took an instructor training course, something I heard about at the NSAWs, and I was like, well, I'm going to check into this. And I met Scott Shell, and that was formative. That was the time when he was taking over the Northwest Avalanche Center and started an observer program, and I got the job working up at Baker as the pro observer. Pretty cool. Getting paid to go dig snow pits? What? This was new. I already had some formal training, but I went and completed a level 3, and I would argue that my instructor team was special, but so would everybody else who's taken that course. But the big thing was ISSW 2016. I showed up to help present on a paper there, and I also listened to a couple of cool things, but a really special thing happened when I walked into that community. I was pretty disconnected and pretty wild-eyed. I really didn't know I was out of my world. And Lynn here and Steve Conger invited me to have some pizza with them that night. And I quickly found friends and realized that I was in a space of, cool people that I wanted to spend more time with. It was welcoming. And so Lynn, thank you. The next turning point really came a few years later when I sort of volunteered or was asked to or got involved in AIARE's curriculum project around motorized avalanche education. I owned a sled. I thought I was a sledder, but anybody here ever feel like they have imposter syndrome? This was mine. I straight up was writing a book for people I have no business writing this book. But it was fun, and it was a cool experience, and I learned a lot about the curriculum in the process. That deep dive was super valuable, and it really changed the way I looked at the way avalanche education happened. Part of that assignment was looking at context and what needed to change, what was different about culture, how do snowmobilers view the world that's different than skiers? What do they need as a toolkit to manage risks differently? The snow didn't change, but the way we're playing on it does, and I think that matters. Context matters. The voice matters. And so I learned how to become a snowmobiler a little bit more. And turning point number 4 really was this, I got involved in the pro programs at AIARE and the instructor training programs a little bit by accident. We had an instructor fall ill and none be able to help, and I was already in the neighborhood, so, hey, do you want to teach? Anybody ever gotten a job that way? So loosely qualified, but thrown into the wolves, and here I was working. And at the end of that year, I'd done 5 Pro 1 courses. It was a real, fast education, steep ramp. And it was helpful. Learned a lot of cool things. Another thing that happened over this period of time was a change in the financial structure and the situation for snowmobilers. And this was made possible by the Avalanche Alliance campaign, the sweepstakes campaign that was happening every year. To date, we've raised and distributed over $150,000 in student scholarships for motorized users. That's in the pro segment alone. Another $40,000 in the recreational segment has been given to recreational scholarships. So an amazing amount of money has gone into supporting that transition and making that transition happen. Convincing a group of people like the motorized crowd to take pro courses and see value in that isn't something we can just do on the statement of it by itself. It's a big financial outlay for something that has a huge uncertainty in the future, how you might recover that. And so having a scholarship program really supported and made that step possible. And I think having 64 Pro 1 graduates at this point from the Motorized program is a pretty cool accomplishment that we've been able to make. So that's a big change. An interesting thing happened on those courses too. I remember the Pro 2 I was taking working on in Stanley, I had 3 students that day. I had Brett, I had Kevin, and I had Matt. And we were supposed to be plugging around in this new terrain, mapping out a venue, and we get stuck on this slope that has warm, crappy snow, and we're like, well, we gotta get out of here, this place is no good. And Kevin says to me, oh, I know you can go to the bottom and make that turn and come back and join us, but I'd like to see you do it right here. I don't know if you guys know this, but the downhill U-turn is a definitive movement in snowmobiling. Once you master that, the world opens up. But until you can do that, it is the most terrifying device to ride in the mountains. So try one, I got about 10 feet closer to the trees and I still wasn't turned around, so I had to try it again. And this time I made it, looked up over my shoulder, pulled the throttle, did the step, and followed through with all the momentum, and I came up over the top of the hill in a full wheelie, and I thought I was doing pretty good, but I looked over and I've got 3 guys all giving me 2 horns. I was pretty stoked. It was a turning point for me that I learned how to snowmobile. And I pushed that a lot further over the years. And last year I went up to Canada and completed the Canadian Motorized Guides Association, their level 3 lead guide training. So it was, to me, a step to prove myself that I'd have the skills to do it, but I was also sort of reaching out to see where this sport was going and what other people think about things. And so I think this is what's interesting, is where this is headed next. So to close out, I'll kind of share a couple of photos here, but you're talking to a motorized crowd from the Midwest. How do you explain slope angle? I was on a tour this fall giving awareness presentations, and I was realizing my slope angle photos weren't landing. And I was going for a walk one day and I saw this, and I was like, whoo, look at this. Angle of repose. I'm grabbing that, and I made a lesson out of it. And it worked, it landed. So sometimes it's the audience and the way you connect with them. And stories matter. How about these 2 guides up on the CMBGA program on ropes? What do snowmobile guides need rope skills for? Glacier travel, anybody? Anybody ever lose a sled over an edge? Need to use mechanical advantage for anything? Yeah, relevant skills. So finding context. At least two of these guys are in the room with me today. But this has been a shared journey for me. And I went from this point of trying to download everything I know to being part of everybody's journey along education. And it's really changed me along the ways too. It's given me a lot of growth. So I'm super thankful to everyone who's been involved in these courses and turned this out the way it has. These group photos I've collected over the years and remind me of how awesome it is to be part of something that's growing and developing initiative and gaining excitement. So there are some places this is growing, some things that this is changing too. I think the motorized community, the power sports industry in general, it's not the same scale as the ski industry. And so we're approaching this idea of pro training and instructor training has forced us to look at different models for delivery and change the scale at which we operate courses. We're able to run one Pro 1, one Pro 2, one instructor training sort of course every year. And looking at ways we can do that economically to sustain this effort, forcing us to think outside the box. Thinking about ways that guides associations might affect this industry and how we collaborate with the A3 and AIARE and other organizations and build a network that supports professionalism in this industry. I think these are all cool places that it's going. So it's been fun to be part of it, and I'm super thankful to everyone who's welcomed me into this part of the journey, taught me how to snowmobile, and made me feel part of that community. So I just want to say thanks, everyone, for letting me talk about this today and share the story about how my evolution of the motorized program and my evolution as an educator has kind of charted a course here. So thanks. I'm open to questions. Go ahead.
You see that, is there something that public avalanche forecasting can do to bring in the motorized community a little more? Or do you think that starts from the ski side or from the snowmobile side?
I'm a firm believer in the idea of emulation as something that really drives human behavior. And so I think that we have people who are skilled snowmobilers, who are members of the community that are recognized, and they become members of the forecasting community and members of the education community. I think that has a big impact because of that role of emulation. That's my personal observation.
What was your biggest takeaway from that Canadian course?
My biggest takeaway was actually confidence that we were doing things in a pretty good direction, that things were pretty well aligned, and we weren't that far apart, which I think was a big takeaway. Okay.
Another round of applause.
Thank you. I think I got it all.